Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another week of racing here with us at Apollo Racing Club, bringing you back another Multiclass Monday. And tonight we were going to be racing at Silverstone, and it is very, very likely that it is going to be a wet one, which is just going to throw even more variability into the already chaotic mixed class series that we're throwing on this season. My name is Matt McAdams. Joining me in the commentator's booth, as always, is none other than Tom Castellani. Tom, how you doing tonight?
Doing great, and this is practically a home race for me. I don't live in the UK anymore, but I am British, as you might be able to tell. So, yeah, excited for Silverstone and excited for some spicy weather conditions. We haven't had a wet race this season so far, so if it does turn out to be raining, it will definitely make things interesting.
Indeed, it shall, and we are just now waiting for the practice session to finish so that we can get over to the qualifying session. Just a couple of drivers out on the track while we're waiting for the max wait time. So while we're waiting on that, let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what happened last week. We weren't able to stream it, unfortunately, so let's just go ahead and cover off on how everybody did while the drivers are getting it out on their outlaps. So in the GT3 field of the faster cars, does look like Shu Chen going to bring home the race win at Watkins Glen. Right behind him, Matt Byrne in second place. Mateus Alves finishing in P3, which actually, in that order, is where they fall in the points overall, followed by Andrew Jaski in P4 with a P4 finish at Watkins. And then looking over at the M2s, we've got Matt Damon, who DNS'd but is still sitting at first place in the points. Nathaniel Stewart bringing home the race win in class at Watkins Glen, bumping him up into second place. Melon Pitch finishing in P4 is third place in class, and Michael Locke there finishing in P5 is up in P4 in the class. And we actually have a bit of a tie in the points overall between Matt Damon and Matt Byrne, both scoring 120 points in the championship so far. And I think part of that may have to do with how the scoring is working out, but overall right now those two are tied for second place despite the fact that they are in different classes. So it'll be interesting to see how that works out. I don't see Matt Damon or Matt Byrne actually out on the track today, so it'll be interesting to see how the leaderboard is shaken up after tonight's race at Silverstone. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get over trackside, take a look at the cars that are out there trying to get their laps in. Of course, it is going to be a split qualifying, so the GT3s are going to be let out before anybody else. And right now, it looks like Carter Bennett going to be the first one out to start their lap, just now coming out around that second chicane and getting ready to wrap up the outlap.
Yeah, the drivers were definitely struggling a little bit with the conditions, as you would expect. We see Carter getting just a little bit of a wiggle on, but making a turn in all the same. I gotta say, I love anytime there's water on the track. I absolutely love it.
Same. I enjoy driving in the wet. Part of it is that I live in the Pacific Northwest in the United States, so driving in the rain is 90% of my year. But it's still fun in a race car. It just completely changes the dynamic of the track and the way that you have to race. It's good, nice and refreshing having to change up the strategy a little bit. So we'll see how the drivers handle it. And you can see there, Carter already slipping around those corners, really throwing that Ferrari through Maggots and Beckett's. Just struggling for grip, but he is managing to keep the car moving forward. That curbing is going to be like driving on glass, but he's using all of the track there, and now he's having a good run down that back straight. Looking around the field, though, it's starting to bunch up just a little bit in a couple of spots here. Casey Bennett, I'm going to be mixing him and Carter's name up quite a bit. Just a couple of seconds in front of the car behind him. And maybe it actually just looked a bit worse on the track map than it actually was in reality.
Two Bennetts and a Barrett we have. Yeah, this is going to be probably the most difficult qualifying section of the season so far, if not in its entirety, because it's a longer circuit. There's only 10 minutes. The track is wet, so that makes it more difficult to keep your lap going and get a valid lap together. It's everything all in one.
Yep. Yeah, the stakes are very high. And the one thing I'll say is, it's not like we're racing at Monaco. There will be an opportunity to pass throughout the race, but it is just all that much more difficult when you're dealing with wet weather conditions. And the passing areas here at Silverstone pretty much have to either get a good exit from a straight or try something here through one of the bigger sweeping corners, and trying to do that too wide in the wet is going to prove to be a challenge for a lot of the drivers who haven't been practicing that as often as the rest. But we're going to get into a good idea of pace here. Carter Bennett coming around the final bend right now to bring home his first qualifying lap, and we're going to see what that time looks like here in just a second. Just has to get himself around that last bend and cross the line.
I suppose the one advantage, there's the time, 2:10.447, beaten immediately by Xu Chen.
With a 209, Aiden Hasselbrock right off the heels there is going to go 5/500ths of a second faster than Xu Chen with a 209 at 325. Got a couple more times coming in here. Mateus Alves now in third place with a 209.642. Louis Benora with a 210.647. Casey Bennett in P6 with a 210.875. Eric Godsacker with a 212.447. And Matt Byrne with a 213.110. Looks like a last-minute addition to the roster here. Matt Byrne has showed up, and I'm sure he was not super pleased to see the weather if he hasn't had any practice in it yet. So we'll see if he's able to get that Lamborghini around the track as fast as he ordinarily would if the track was dry.
Yeah, I was going to say that the advantage of having a larger track and a longer lap is that it's easier to find space on the circuit and not get either held up or be holding someone up when the gaps get closed, or you find yourself on the same bit of circuit as another driver. But it does seem as though all of the GT3 drivers have put at least a valid lap in. So they're sitting ahead of the M2 field.
And it's, I don't know. I mean, there's been a couple races this season that hasn't been the case. So I'm glad to see the drivers going for just banking a lap first before getting out there and pushing too terribly hard. But speaking of pushing too terribly hard here, Mateus Alves snatching away the purple border from Xu Chen, who's already 0.3 faster than him. Right now looking at almost a 1 second improvement as he comes around the chicane and lines up his run down the straight. We'll see if he continues to find time here. It's easy to cook it through here just a little too much and lose it on the exit, but it looks like he's going to hang on to that pace. We've also got Carter Bennett up a second. Ice Tin is up a half second. So we're starting to see some pretty big improvements here. And Matt Byrne also up 2 seconds, looking at setting a 2:11 here if he can cross the line with it. And Xu Chen going to set fastest of the session with a 2:08.885, but that is going to be snatched away from Mateus Alves, who is 1.1 seconds up on his previous personal best as he closes in on that Lamborghini out in front of him. And there we go across the line with a 2:08.447. That's going to box out Xu Chen by 0.4 of a second.
Aiden now going even faster, got 2 to 3 tenths up on the pole time at the moment. Or sorry, no, that's 2 to 3 tenths on his own time. So where does that put us? Okay, so he's 8 tenths down currently with his current time.
Correct.
So that could certainly move him. If he's looking at 4 tenths now, it could certainly move him up ahead of Xu Chen, who I think might have abandoned that lap.
Yeah, invalidates it there through the chicane. He's gonna have to take another run at it.
They're going to be getting a little bit tight on time now. Just a couple minutes left before the BMW M2s will be heading out. Eric Gottsacker and Matt Byrne as well, Louis Benora, all looking to make a fair improvement. Oh, Matt, just getting so wild there. Still managed to keep a number of tenths, but it did drift away there. The time that he had, it was up to 1.4 seconds of an improvement. See, Julien Levasseurs headed into the pits now, so that will be the end of the session there as the sort of heading up on last chance for a lot of these drivers to get a time in.
Aiden Hasbrock not wasting any of that time here as he rounds the final corner he's got 8/10. That's going to be enough to just squeak in front of Mateus Alves by 3/100ths of a second with a 2:08.447 as the new time to beat. Matt Burns still up a second. Going to be looking at a pretty solid improvement here, and it will put him up in either 5th or 4th place depending on where it comes out. It's looking like it might be enough for P5, and it is, with a 2:09.697, and he still has time to round the track one more time.
Totally, yeah. So if they cross the line before the 10-minute marker, they're able to complete that lap, if I understand correctly.
Yep.
Okay, so still a bit of an opportunity in that case. And that, yeah, that does give Xu Chen an opportunity to take another crack at pole. He is there or thereabouts. He's flitting between 2/10 and 3/10, which is exactly what he would need to match or surpass Aiden Hasbrock at the moment.
Let's see. Just before we switched over there, Brian Katz finding about 2 seconds of pace there, so using all of that time in qualifying to continue to line up that race pace. And it looks like the BMWs are coming out of the pits now, so the GT3 drivers will have to finish the laps that they're on and make way for the BMWs for their 10 minutes of qualifying. Matt Byrne up another 8/10. He is continuing to find time out here. Xu Chen more or less deadlocked with his previous lap. May not be enough for him to post an improvement here, but the lap is not over yet, just 2 corners to go.
I think we're going to see a very tight top 4 by the end. The M2s have headed out now, so they are also on track, but they won't be coinciding. They'll just be doing their outlap for the time being.
He finds a 10th on the exit.
I think Alves might have abandoned his lap. He was just looking at putting up a fight. Xu Chen as well.
So close, 3/100ths of a second off there from 2nd place. And that is a very tight top 3 here, and Matt Byrne looking to join them here if he can find just a bit more time. He lost some on that that last hairpin there. May not be the improvement he's looking for. He will gain some positions though, and he finds himself up in 4th place. Casey.
Yeah, not bad at all. Just about a half a second, and the top 3 all within, I mean, 6 or 7/100ths of a second there. So yeah, some very fast boys, but all keeping it close together. They're going to have a good battle, I think.
There we go. Casey Bennett brings home 5th place. Puts himself just in front of Carter Bennett. But let's take a look over at the M2s here. Oh, that's Brian Katz finishing up his lap. That must be Jack Linderer right behind him. It is. But Brian Katz going to post an improvement there. Shaves another 6/10 off his lap. Sets a 2:16.182. But let's take a look over here. Anthony Jones going to be out in front of the BMW grid. Looks like he is followed by Liam McNeil. And we got a little bit of a pack here over by Cody Barrett. Let's go to the wide shot here. Cody Barrett, who is that? Listen to me when I'm clicking on you. Nathaniel Stewart just in front of him, who brought home the race win last week at Watkins Glen. We'll see if he's able to pull off the same performance here at Silverstone. But Anthony Jones is going to be the driver to have our eyes on here throughout qualifying. Very, very, very fast in practice. We'll see if he's able to pull it off during qualifying.
Yeah, it's hard to discount Anthony for any race. He's definitely a very rapid driver, regardless of conditions, regardless of how much practice he's had, or if he's driven at all recently.
Yeah, that's the one that frustrates me.
Yeah, it's a very, I don't know. I mean, maybe he's some AI. We don't know. I certainly haven't seen him, so I can't guarantee that he's not a robot. That's all I'm saying.
The jury's still out on whether or not he's actually an alien. Let's take a look at those road conditions here. It is still raining, but I think it is easing up just a little bit, which might lead to a slightly easier qualifying session for the M2s. Nope, it is just raining. Nope, it's just my eyes playing tricks on me as Liam McNeil gonna invalidate that lap, runs it off a little bit wide. Easy spot of the track to do it on, and Cody Barrett's back in the pits.
Yeah, I didn't catch a yellow flag. I saw there was a yellow flag, but I didn't see it on the track map, so I wasn't able to get over to it. But I certainly haven't. Yeah, so Cody's going back out. I certainly haven't seen a lot of people looping it or being stopped on track. So, despite the conditions, you know, everyone's getting through okay, and that's, you know, in both GT3 and M2. It's just, there's a level of caution which, obviously, in racing, you need to find that balance, because being too cautious is not fast.
Very true.
But
Well, let's
not
see.
enough caution and you will find yourself in the barrier.
Let's see what he does here. 225.5, which I happen to know from practice is not all that he's got in tap there, but going to be a strong starting laps. We see Nathaniel Stewart cross the line with a 227.452 for second place. Let's see, got a couple more. It looks like Melon Pitch coming around the final bend now. And he will cross the line here in just a second. Let's get that time. Did it not give it to him? Must have been an invalid lap. So he's going to have to take another run at it. Only 4.5 minutes left on the clock. Not a lot of time. I think that's just barely enough for maybe one, maybe two more laps. Looks like Sam Carsala opting not to qualify based on the fact he has not left the pits yet. And the rest of the drivers here just looking to set a valid lap at this point.
Yeah, it's surprising to see Sam in the pits there, but perhaps he thinks it's the best chance he's going to have. Try to stay away from some carnage, or just is unable to set a time right now. Anthony Jones, another 8/10 up right now.
Yeah, we're about to see 3 purple sectors here, and Liam McNeil has a spin. That is an unfortunate spot, but looks like everybody gets around him just fine. Ooh, big hop of the curb there for Anthony Jones. Looks like it costs him a little bit of time. Fortunately for him, those BMWs can take that kind of punishment. Ooh, yellow flag for Melon Pitch, as it looks like he spun off. Ooh, and then we were just talking about that spot earlier today.
Yeah, okay, so commentators curse. It's now people are starting to drop it.
Yeah.
I mean, you would think that the M2s would be a little bit more controllable, a little less spicy than the GT3s, but that's not necessarily the case. You know, the way that they geared, just to you really have to push to get the optimal time out of them, and that obviously can lead to a loss of adhesion, particularly on this slippery surface. So Anthony Jones and Nathaniel Stewart are the only cars to have set a valid lap right now. And there's 1.5 seconds between them, so this is sort of anyone's game. Melon Pitch, I mean, if everyone, if Melon, Cody, Liam, Sam, if none of them set a valid time, then it's kind of I guess no one loses out. They just get the positions they get.
Alex Ardoin there sneaking in with a valid time of 225.72. Still just a hair less than a second slower than Anthony Jones, but at least starting to get close to him. Nathaniel Stewart up 0.2. Melon Pitch, where is he at on track? Oh, he's just starting another lap, so it must have been the case that one was not valid, and this is going to be his last opportunity to do so. I don't think, in fact, any of the drivers will get an additional quality lap, save for maybe Cody Barrett.
Yeah, Liam is headed into the pits. Sam remains in the pits, so this could well be our starting order.
Nathaniel Stewart continuing to find time as he comes around the corner to face the old start finish line here at Silverstone.
I do. Okay, so Alex is slotted in between Anthony and Nathaniel.
Correct.
Uh-huh.
And Nathaniel would have to post a pretty big improvement here in order to wedge himself up into second place. Cody Barrett across the line with a valid time. It's going to be a 2:28.092. And that is better than no lap time because right now Melon Pitch, Liam McNeil, and Sam Carasala are going to be starting behind him. Exia in the chat saying P9, I'll take it. Hey, that's top 10 start right there. It's a good place to be.
I've got to say that places 10 through 13 have qualified in the wrong order. We've got numbers 9, 7, 8, and 6. That should be 6, 7, 8, 9. So guys, you gotta sort yourselves out there.
Just so everybody can see what he's talking about. If you look from position 10 down the car numbers. So close.
I haven't checked for any words or anagrams or anything recently in the timing board, so maybe I can find something during the race.
Well, Nathaniel Stewart does edge himself into the 226s. Will not be enough for a position, but he does sit comfortably at P3. And it looks like Anthony Jones, Cody Barrett, and Melon Pitch still out on the track. Melon Pitch about to cross the line. I believe he's on a valid lap. And he is, and he displaces Cody Barrett there as he crosses the line with a 2:27.247. And now it's on Cody Barrett to see if he can find some time, and he's not in a good posture to do so right now. 7/10 down. It might take a miracle here in order for him to get up into 17th place in front of Melon Pitch, and no, he is going to go ahead and abandon that lap. We'll see what Anthony Jones does here. If I know him, he is just going to send it as hard as he can, and if he invalidates, that'll be the end of qualifying. You see that back end really struggling for grip here. There too. You can see the opposite lock from the steering wheel.
He doesn't stand to gain anything at the moment, but it's certainly fun to watch him absolutely slide that car around.
Yeah. Oh, and there we go.
Okay. He's parked next to the crane conveniently.
Yeah, hopefully they won't be using that crane to get his car off the track today. We'll see. All right, so let's go ahead and do our grid walk as we always do here. So let me get tabbed in here. There we go. So it is going to be Aiden Hasselbrock qualifying in P1 in the GT3s. Next to him is going to be Mateus Alves in P2. Just behind Aiden is going to be Shu Chen in P3, followed by Matt Byrne in P4, Casey Bennett in P6, Casey Bennett in P5, Carter Bennett in P6. They're going to be messing me up all day. Ice Tin in P7, Louis Benora qualifying in P8, followed by Eric Gottsacker in P9, Jack Linderer to round out the top 10, Alexander Barnes in P11, Julian Lavasseur in P12, and Brian Katz in P13. To start off the M2 grid is going to be Anthony Jones qualifying in P1, followed by Alex Arduin in P2, Nathaniel Stewart in P3, Melon Pitch in P4 with that last minute valid lap to displace Cody Barrett just next to him in P5, followed by Liam McNeil in P6 and Sam Carasala in P7. Well, this is going to be an interesting race. So we are not doing the full formation lap. It's just the short formation lap. So we're going to get racing here pretty quick here, just waiting for that timer to lapse, and then we will get this show on the road. Get both of my cameras set up here. There we go.
Yeah, so Aiden, who is on pole for this race, he currently sits, I think, 6th in the GT3 Championship. But he did lead a good portion of the race at Watkins Glen on merit. He managed to make his way past Shu Chen early on in the race and led it for a good while, but it did not finish the way he would have hoped for.
Oh, Alex
We'll have to see
Ardoin
if-
gets teleported to the pits. Sorry to cut you off there, but he is going to be starting from pit lane.
Maybe just wasn't ready. Maybe he's gone to the washroom. Maybe
Forgot to hit drive.
just didn't hit drive in time. He was looking at his setup still, but that will put him to the pits.
All right, now we are just waiting for that green flag. It's going to be any second here, and we're going to kick off this long hour race here at Silverstone, and it is still full wet on the track, and we already see Mateus Alves making a move to the inside, back out to the outside, and we've got too wide through most of the corner there. Looks like the GT3s get through there hassle-free, and now we're just looking at the middle of the field here. Still too wide for a lot of this. You see here Louis Benora on the inside there, gets out in front of Eric Gottsacker, now chasing down Justin Eiston. Got a couple of other close battles, Jack Linderer and Alexander Barnes side by side. Alexander Barnes makes a move up the inside in Beckett's and gets out in front of him. And now he's gonna have to chase him down the straight. And we've already got a single file line for the majority of the cars there. So let's go ahead and go back down to one field here. Let's take a look back at the TCX. Has got some close battles going on here. No position upsets yet. Still Anthony Jones, Nathaniel Stewart, Mellon Pitch. Liam McNeil has actually gotten up in front of Cody Barrett, though. Excuse me.
Yeah, we do see that Alex Ardoin is on track now, so made his start from pit lane as soon as he was able. Shame for him, but at least he wasn't away from the race start.
Julian Lavaseur really starting to apply some pressure here to Alexander Barnes, looking for a way around him as they come down the straight. He's really going to be giving him the draft. Backs off before they get to the corner, though. Definitely a wise move there. Easy to lose the back end there. We can see he's actually struggling with it a little bit, trying to rein it back in. And what we're seeing already are the drivers giving each other plenty of room. As we can see, there's really no one inside of that half-second gap.
Yeah, he's a very canny racer, is Julien, and he's a long-time Porsche driver, so I would be interested to know how he's been finding the new Porsche over the old one, which I know that he liked. So a lot of people prefer the new Porsche to drive, but there's no guarantees.
Shu Chen running into the double blinker, chasing down Aiden Hasselbrock. They're going to trade fastest lap there. Shu Chen beats him by about a half second on that last lap. So let's see if he can get within striking distance here on lap 2.
Both of those drivers in the Lamborghini, the only difference will be setup. And we've got the long pit window here for one mandatory stop. It's a 55-minute window, right? So
Correct.
they have between now and 2.5 minutes from the end of the race.
Ooh, Alex Ardoin has dropped to the back of the M2 grid here. Now looking for his way around Sam Carasala.
He'd started from pits, so actually
that's
the
right,
fact
that's
that
right.
he's already there. Do you think he went to pits to change? No. Would he wouldn't have needed to have gone to pits to change tyres. He could have just picked the tyres he wanted on the grid. As we see it here, Gogs like Jack Linder manages to save it and stay on the back of Eric Gottsacker.
Not easy to do. Let's go ahead and jump up to Matt Byrne here, closing in on Casey Bennett. Well, let's go ahead and we're going to ride on board with him just so we can see the visibility the drivers are having to deal with today.
Matt Byrne is in a Bennett sandwich right now. I've only got one chance to say that. See the spray being picked up. Makes it harder to see what's going on ahead of you.
Yeah, mercifully that Porsche is nice and bright red and easy for him to see.
That's why I think that's part of why Matt is just pulling out.
Ooh, we got a car off wide there. Who was that?
Who is that?
I don't know who that was, but we saw it was. I think it was Louis Benora there. It was red and yellow. Aiden Hasselbrock banking the fastest lap of the session.
that makes it Louis closely followed by Eric Gottsacker and Jack Lindner, who are already in a battle.
Carter Bennett starting to catch up to the back of Matt Byrne to make this Bennett sandwich just that much tighter, and we see the Porsche of Casey Bennett goes off wide.
I think he's gone dirt tracking. He's found the racetrack again, and actually very, very close to Matt Byrne, so he does relinquish the place, and another one to the other Bennett. We've got 3 cars almost 3 wide now. Jack Lindner trying to thread the needle between Eric Gottsacker and Louis Benora. Backs out. Louis loses a place around the outside to Eric Gottsacker.
And you can see the rear end there of Louis Benora getting a little bit squirrely under braking. I'm starting to wonder if we're going to start seeing like ABS play a factor in this. I know at least in the M2 field they were complaining the ABS in the car is kind of non-existent, so they're basically just going to have to go off pedal feel today.
Yeah, and
big slide there for Eric Gottsacker is going to allow Louis Benora up the inside. Look at him. He's pulling him in. And it is tempted there. It looks like Alexander Barnes wants to be a part of the fun there. But a wide line for both Eric and Louis there. Jack Lindner kind of just hanging out on the inside, and he might have an opportunity to pass here, but it looks like a rough exit here, and he's going to have to deal with Louis Benora up the side, and look at that Lamborghini just walking on him.
Louis using more than the track there, driving on the grass and seeming to make it work, but he has now dropped back again. So it's just going back and forth from corner to corner here as the drivers get differing runs.
Xu Chen starting to reel in Aiden Hasselbrock, but let's take a look back at the M2 field here as Liam McNeil is having to fend off Alex Arduin, who's getting very close to the rear bumper there, but runs out of room before he can make the pass happen.
Yeah, we know that Alex is usually quick and had qualified in 2nd place in this field, so obviously trying to make back that time. It's very impressive that he made back that time from having started the pits so quickly, but he's eager to get amongst the top 2 or 3 drivers.
And that's going to be the move done there by Alex. He's still a little bit wide, but Liam is going to have to filter in behind him.
Yeah, he had the advantage of just being able to run it out and get on the gases as soon as he could there, and Liam had to keep it tighter to the apex. And Sam Kurasala now looking at the back of Cody Barrett. Breaking deeper into there, Cody just drifting out. Sam is able to get up the inside, but yes, he's making it stick.
And just a little bit ahead of them, we could actually see a shot there of Melvin Pitch and Nathaniel Stewart starting to close up on one another. But before we can watch that, let's take a look back over at Eric Gottsacker right now, under attack from Jack Lindner right behind him.
Yeah, these 4 cars really going hammer and tong. You have to wonder how long it's going to last because it's real hot mouth stuff the whole time. They have spaced out a bit, yeah. So we can see as Jack and Eric Gottsacker have stayed together, Louis and Alexander Barnes have dropped off a little bit. Louis taking a very tight line off the track there. It's not going to help him at all. And he's now dropping into the grips of Julian Levasseur, who's going to try and tuck in under the tailpipe and wait for, I feel, you know, just Louis feels very excitable at the moment. Yeah, would do well just to kind of wait and see what happens.
Take a look at this over on the other screen here. Xu Chen gets a great run down the straight on Aiden Hasselbrock. Does not get there in time to make the pass happen, though.
Also got Justin Eiston very close to the back of one of the Bennetts. I just see C. Bennett over here, so I'm not even going to try. I think that's Casey in the Porsche. Our lead battle is not at all done. I don't know if we caught it. Xu Chen getting... Sorry.
Yeah, Xu Chen does make the pass happen. We will...
ahead.
I think, yeah, we will have gotten it on the other camera, although we didn't see it. So, hey, at least the stream got to see it. And I got very distracted because I just realized my air conditioner's not on. It's 95 degrees outside. I was getting sweaty.
I mean, I'm just trying to look at all of the cameras right now, but it took a moment for the timing board to update. I still had Aiden up ahead, and I looked over. I was like, I don't think so. So that obviously a big move for the race lead, and Xu Chen also holds fastest lap at the moment. So he's pushing hard. We know that the times were incredibly tight between those two drivers in qualifying, so very little between them. And Aiden is clinging to within 1.2 seconds, but it's, you know, we're only 10 minutes into the race, but you know, we've got a pit cycle to come, we've got a lot of time on a wet track, so much can happen. You know, you've really got to be in it to win it, so sometimes this isn't the sort of race where going hell for leather is necessarily gonna win you the race. Like, if you're there or thereabouts, but you stay consistent and you don't take any big risks, then that can reap some rewards. Eiston incredibly close, breathing the exhaust fumes of Carter Bennett now. Carter takes an inside defensive line. Eiston swinging out wide, either just because that's where the car took him, given the track conditions, or because he was going for a cutback. I don't think it was the latter.
Over on the left-hand side of the screen there, you can see Alex Ardoin makes an overtake on Melon Pitch and moves himself up another position. And now he's going to be taking a run at Nathaniel Stewart.
I'm very impressed. I wonder if he was just challenging himself by starting from the pits. However, it did rob him of a chance to fight with Anthony Jones, who has put a good, if those splits are correct, he's put a good 10 seconds on the field.
That's looking at their fastest lap right there. Let me get it over to last lap.
No, I was.
There's their last lap.
Like fluctuating massively on the tower, but maybe that is just how this track runs.
Alex Ardoin gets around Stewart, no problems there.
Just swung around the outside. I almost missed it because it was so innocuous. I do wonder whether that's gonna drag Melon Pitch in a little bit. If Nathaniel can latch onto the back of Alex, they stand to have a chance here. Don't let him get away.
Oh, and it looks like Nathaniel Stewart makes a great move up the inside there, and now has a run on him into the chicane. Ooh, but that outside line not going to be an easy one to attack from, but it looks like Ardoin overcooks it a little bit, and that sucks Melon Pitch into this battle. We now have a 3-car battle for second place.
It's the old Valentino Rossi adage of pass them back immediately, mess them up. You know, if you know that they have the speed to get away, you cannot let them get ahead. You've got to go straight back. And
a big slide.
Oh, that was all on his own. That was very well saved. I really thought he was going around there, and Nathaniel just being gifted a bit of time there. He's going to get a second chance. You really can't take too much of those sausages. But yeah, that's all it takes is one slide and you can be facing the wrong direction. Aiden Hasbrook now with the fastest lap. And he still sits, you know, 1.1, 1.2 seconds back, but again, just staying in touch. That's what he's got to do right now.
Yep, at this point right now, I would say Nathaniel Stewart needs to kind of just focus on the car that's behind him and getting a little bit of distance between him and Melon Pitch. If he's able to do so, it should bring him a bit closer to Arduin, who's now, let's see, 11 seconds, 10 seconds off the back of Anthony Jones.
Did miss Lubanora, I think, got ahead of Alexander Barnes. I know they were kind of going back and forth, and Julian Levasseur behind the Ferrari of Barnes now. So that little group has spaced out just a tiny bit, but it always happens that things press again towards the end of the race.
You can see just how little visibility there is now that there's a black car in front of Melon Pitch. Gets out to the side, he can see again, and then blind once again. Good thing those brake lights are nice and bright. 2/10 between the two of them. They're getting very close here. It's going to come down to who gets a better exit. And it looks like that's going to be for Nathaniel Stewart. I hate to pull us away from this, but really quick, it looks like Julian Levasseur has gotten around Alexander Barnes again. We just miss it.
Yeah, perhaps a mistake from Alexander, because it was a good second or more between those two drivers.
Sam Carsala on the outside, and I saw Aiden Hasselbrock now in third place. Makes me wonder if there was an accident there. I'm going to go ahead and pull up the replay here. 1 second, folks.
Yeah, and that was a big gap down to Matt Burns, so that it's interesting that we haven't, because this track is longer, we haven't seen the two fields overlapping so far, but oh, here we go.
Oh,
yeah.
No. And Aiden Hasselbrock is absolutely at fault there.
Absolute mile back there.
And that is a DC, it looks like, for someone who left.
I can see Aiden still in the race. We've got a drive-through penalty for Carter Bennett. And, okay, so it's all kicking off now.
I think it was Mateus Alves who just disconnected.
Stam hasn't started moving again. He's still in the gravel trap there. So Alves, yeah.
It's a disconnect. Just got a update from the chat from Alves. Seems like I lost connection to the server. That is unfortunate, my friend.
Yeah, it's a shame when you're there, you've been practicing, and you have something that just takes you out of the race instantly, but it's that is racing, and
snapped a drive shaft, it happens.
Yeah.
Ooh, the 918 car picks up a drive-through penalty for track limits. That is going to be Casey Bennett. Melon Pitch has caught back up to Nathaniel Stewart, and we got a yellow flag for Casey Bennett. He is off the track there at the start of his 8th lap. Finds his way back over and stays out of the way of Ice Tin and Lindner.
Yeah, I wonder if that drive-through is just track limits. I would expect that it is, seeing as no one has actually entered the pits, and that's pretty much the only other way to get a drive-through.
Let me take a look here.
Speeding in pits. Notice that Sim Black Fox is paying his respect in chats.
It's a drive-through for track limits is what it was.
Right, yeah. I've seen him on the grass a couple times.
Take a look over here. Louis Benora having a run at Casey Bennett coming into the chicane.
Yeah, Alves saying that he had felt like he had really good pace despite a shocking start and in the wet, and it's an online mechanical failure.
Pretty much. Oh, and we just missed. It looks like Nathaniel Stewart is spun around by Melon Pitch and is going to get past. Looked like there was very, very light contact, but it was unfortunately enough to get the car of Nathaniel Stewart spun around.
Simultaneously, Melon Pitch is being overtaken by Aiden Hasselbrock, and we've got Casey Bennett. Wait.
Oh, that is Carter Bennett.
Carter, yes. Behind. weaving around, trying to find a way to latch onto Aiden's car.
Xu Chen has a healthy lead there. Oh, and actually Nathaniel Stewart gets back around Melon Pitch right when I click off the camera, so we're going to do the 10-second replay here and just deal with the consequences. That might have been a lift from Melon Pitch.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that had to have been him giving the position back, so love to see that. Although it does look like Pitch gets right back out in front before the replay was over, so that's fun.
After you.
Yep.
Now we have the two fields coming together. So a little bit deeper into the race than we're used to, but some overlap going on as Lubinora now trying to get a run on the bright red Porsche in front. That is Casey Bennett.
Yeah, and he is trying to do it. That Porsche is doing an excellent job of keeping just enough room behind him where he doesn't really have to focus on driving defensively. He's just got to keep the car going around the circuit. But Louis Benora keeps reeling him back in one corner at a time. It looks like he may have a run, but he's going to run out of straight before he can make a move. Yeah, and we see there the lift. Oh, and Melon Pitch is yellow flagged and right now parked on the wall. Oh, and that is towed back to the pits. Not sure what happened there.
See if we can find out.
Ooh, and 793 picks up a drive-through for track limits. That is going to be Aiden Hasselbrock in third place.
Oh. Yeah, it's going from bad to worse for Aiden right now. He's definitely going to have to try and keep his head. I mean, a drive-through from third when you've got a lot of pace in the car isn't the worst thing in the world, but certainly starting to feel things getting compounded here.
Yep. Alexander Barnes overcooking it a little bit into the chicane. Does open the door for Eric Gottsacker to reel him in a little bit, and Julian Levasseur to get away. Looks like Casey Bennett going to take his drive-through now.
So I'm just looking at this replay on the other screen of Melon Pitch. He did get wide onto the curb. It was exactly where we saw him go around in qualifying. It was that spot that you were talking about. Got wide, got a slide on, and pitched into the pit wall. But Julian Levasseur was quite close behind as well, so he had to not take avoiding action, but certainly hesitated a little bit as he saw that car going around in front of him. Not really sure where it was going to go.
There we go, catching up to some mixed field. That's going to be the BMW of Anthony Jones there, getting passed by one. And Jack Lidner should have no problem getting around him on this next corner here.
Oh. Sorry, I had on my screen as well Julien making his way past Alex Ardou, and so there's it's a GT3 and an M2, and it was very tight, but it did. Everything came together in the end.
Good, love to see that.
So Xu Chen has been given a real bit of breathing space. He's got a good 13 seconds down to Matt Burton, so with that fastest lap, it would be on him to have this race go away from him. Anything can still happen.
The drive-through was served by Casey Bennett. Looks like it's a 24.5 second penalty, basically. Aiden Hasselbrock into the pits now to serve his drive-through penalty. That is one of the things you got to remember about racing in the wet, is that it is far easier to get track limit warnings. And unfortunately for those two drivers, they racked up just one too many, and they're going to have to serve that drive-through penalty. Hopefully it doesn't turn into a stop-go 30 for anyone. Melon Pitch leaving the pits now. after 3 minutes. They're waiting for the car to come off the jacks. Not sure what happened, but he's back out on the track.
Yeah, good that Melon was able to go and get that thing more or less repaired.
Ooh, Julian Levasseur off the track there. Has to run through the runoff. Manages to join back in without causing too many problems there.
Was that problems?
It was not a word. I don't know what just happened.
It's okay, it is now.
Yeah, that's what it's like. The Mercedes is Benz.
Mercedes is Benz?
Oh, were you not there for that one?
Oh yeah. No, I know.
Me fumbling my way through German auto manufacturers. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, pit strategy. Because of the way things are spread, there's not a massive advantage. There's no one really being held up. It's when it's dry and your lap times are a lot more consistent, and you want to get past someone, you can think about going for an undercut. But because it's so greasy, things are kind of fluctuating back and forth. It's everyone finds it difficult to be consistent, and so that sort of takes some of the bite out of the pit strategy. Having said that, we're approaching mid-distance, and no one has come in for their mandatory stop.
No, part of me wonders if the drivers are kind of opting just to feel out the weather. That was what happened at, let's see, Delta Racing League had a wet race at Valencia, and that was what I think the majority of the drivers opted to do, was just to stay out on the track as long as they could to see what the weather would do and then make the decision on what to do with tires, because one of the worst feelings as a driver is to come in too early, put on wet tires, and have the track dry out 10 minutes later, and you are just hosed for the rest of the race. So we'll see. I don't think there's any end to the rain in sight. Looking at the weather forecast, it appears it is going to be solid rain for the rest of the race, but we could see anything happen. Who knows? Yeah,
we've got a current 5-minute and 15-minute potential forecast. It's a cloud with a bunch of dashes coming out of it. All and track wet. I mean, so the interesting thing that I have just noticed is the track temperature, certainly the ambient, does seem to be coming up a little bit. We're talking 2-3 degrees perhaps from when the race started. I believe it was about 20-21 ambient, so we're looking at 23 ambient track temperature, 26 now. I don't know how much that'll affect things for the drivers, but if the field begins to change.
In my experience, in the dry, every degree up is about 1/10 of a PSI difference. Or no, wait, no, it was more than that. It was like 1/4 or 1/3 of a PSI. But that may have changed with the tire models changing. That is old information, but it does matter. But I would say in the case of the wet tires, with the way that the tire models have been refreshed, they have much more forgiving of a optimal window. If I remember correctly, at least in the M2s, the optimal range for tire pressures in the wet is 29 to 31. So they have that whole 30 PSI range to play with. Melon pitch serving his mandatory pit stop, so cutting it right before the halfway mark, and now he just has to finish the race where he's at. Looks like Cody Barrett into the pits as well.
That's the other thing, is to get with your particular setup, to get that window even there or thereabouts for the wet tires. You have to be able to put in some wet track time, which hopefully a lot of the drivers were able to get that set up and figured out during the practice sessions. But you can miss it sometimes, or you find that as you start to do a longer stint, as you're going for a lot longer in the race, that changes and you're not quite where you thought you would be with pressures. And then of course, if the track does start drying out, they could start heating up real quick.
Something I want to draw our attention to is Alex Ardoin is rapidly pulling in Anthony Jones. Last lap for Anthony Jones was about 1.5 seconds off his pace, and Alex Ardoin has capitalized on that, what was an almost 11-second gap, now inside of 5, as he can see Anthony Jones out in front of him. Nathaniel Stewart into the pits for his mandatory pit. I'm not sure if Anthony has just wore out his tires early on in the race or what's going on there, but he is slowing down.
It's a big surprise. I mean, maybe he wants something interesting to do, but certainly Alex, like you said, having started from the pits is beginning to make some inroads.
I mean, he's got his eyes on first place. 5 seconds is not a lot of time when you're considering that there's 29 minutes left in the race. That is at least 10 more laps. Plenty of opportunity for him to close in on Anthony Jones here.
Liam just managed to pass Nathaniel through the pits. Yeah, Nathaniel Stewart's still in the pits. Now he's on his wheels. So...
that was because Liam McNeil was serving a drive-through penalty, and Nathaniel Stewart served his mandatory pit stop. That's what happened.
Okay, so yes, of course. There we go. Liam has not cleared his mandatory yet. He will have to come in. Yeah. Aiden Hasbrook, well, moves up a couple places, but only because people are starting to come to the pits now. So, okay, some people using half race distance if they're pretty confident it's going to remain wet. I mean, if you're getting to 15 to 10 minutes from the end of the race and it starts to dry out then, you can kind of get away with it. It's touch and go, but... I
mean, looking at that, we've got at least another 15 minutes of rain. I'd say the risk of it drying out and causing problems at this point is pretty much nil.
Indeed. So
that'll be a relief for the drivers for sure.
We've got Julien in the pits. We've got Anthony Jones in the pits.
All right, let's judge his pit stop. Here we go. See if he has to back up.
There was a couple of drive-throughs. I don't see some of these mandatory stops being cleared, and I definitely saw a couple drivers in the pits before, so...
Let's see here. Liam McNeil has served a drive-through penalty. Casey Bennett has served a drive-through penalty. Aiden Hasbrook has served a drive-through penalty. So there's been a couple.
Okay. Maybe I'm seeing things. We do have the leader, Shu Chen, in the pits now, so that promotes...
Oh no, and Anthony Jones picks up the stop go 30 for speeding on his way in. Oh no.
I want to check if that was on the way in or the way out, because you can get it on the way out sometimes. If I'm not sure if the M2s keep the limiter in second gear. It's a surprise. It's a real surprise, but there you go. Everyone makes mistakes.
And a costly mistake that one is going to be, with a stop and go 30 being about a 1-minute penalty. Shu Chen exiting after serving his mandatory pit stop. Ice Tin in for his mandatory pit stop.
Oh, that was definitely on the way in.
Yeah, I figured it would be.
He was struggling to keep... he barely kept it out of the wall on entry. It was starting to slide, and he was still going like 80 Ks into the 50.
Oh boy.
Right. So, very surprised actually that Shu would pit so early, coming from the lead. You know, this.
Oh no! Did we just see catastrophe right off screen? Oh no! Eric Gottsacker into the side of, I think that was Alex Ardoin, or was that Nathaniel Stewart? That was Nathaniel Stewart.
Yeah, yep. That's exactly what that was. So perhaps those drivers will be coming in now because, well, Nathaniel taken his stop, so looks to be going the right way again.
Casey Bennett really pushing Eric Gottsacker here. Oh, and the number 121 car of Ice Tin picks up the second stop-go 30 as Casey Bennett locks up the brakes and puts himself on the inside of the curbing there. And let's see if he gets it this time. Very cautious the second time into the pit lane.
And incredibly gingerly into the pit speed line.
Let's see, Liam McNeil in behind him for his mandatory pit. So there is a decent shot here. Anthony Jones doesn't lose a position. If anyone's going to get it here, it's going to be Nathaniel Stewart. Just a little consolation prize here for getting hit by a faster car.
So right before we saw a GT3 turning in M2 there, I was going to say it's a surprise that Xu Chen would pit so early because, I mean, you know, we know that he's going to be having to pass M2s anyway, but it puts him in the danger zone, either to get caught up in an incident or be having to pass more cars or coming up against the back. It just puts him in the back of the pack. Whereas if he hits very late on, you know, that's kind of the optimal way to do it in this sort of race, is to pit off the front as late as you can, because it doesn't then drop you into a lot of traffic.
Liam McNeil on his way out after the mandatory pit. So the way it shakes down, Alex Arduin is on his way in for his mandatory pit. Uh-oh. Yep,
he's coming in pretty rapid.
Yeah, it looks like somebody picks up a stop-go 30. That's going to be the number 7 car of Alexander Barnes. And that did look pretty quick for Alex Arduin.
Just an Ice Tin as well. I don't know if that had been mentioned already. This is that stage in the race where things just start getting a bit hectic, and I don't even hear what you're saying. Trying to figure out,
a crowded pit lane.
Very busy. Yeah.
Brian Katz on his way for his mandatory pit. Ice Tin here to serve a penalty. Matt Byrne is on his way in for the mandatory pit, which moves Carter Bennett up into first place for a small amount of time. Louis Benora also in. Aiden Hasselbrock is going to stay out. 22 minutes left in the race.
If you're one of the later hitters, you're going to be looking at the notifications that you're getting on the screen of so-and-so has a stop-and-go 30, and so-and-so has a drive-through, and that should be an indication of, like, oh, I should probably back it off a little bit, or I should try and not come into pit too hot. So it sort of serves as a reminder there.
See Matt Byrne on his way out, and he does so without a penalty. Brian Katz and Ice Tin also both out. Ice Tin clearing his penalty. Brian Katz with a successful pit stop there. Oh, and a yellow flag for Aiden Hasselbrock. And he is way off wide there. I believe that's at Chapel.
Coming on back on track, he is, well, despite not having served a mandatory stop, he's sitting in second at the moment. The way that the point system is does mean that it even getting a result is can be quite rewarding. So it's worth sticking in even when things aren't going your way. Julien Levasseur does. Oh, okay, so he goes ahead of Alexander Barnes as he takes his drive through. Well, stop and go 30.
Right now, looking at the predictions for each of the drivers who have yet to serve a pit stop. Looks like Louis Benora gonna lose a position, will come out behind Julien Levasseur, at least for right now. Eric Gottsacker will drop down a position to P6. Aiden Hasselbrock looking at coming out in P4. Carter Bennett in P3 as he enters the pits now. So it looks like pretty much everybody stands to lose a position of the remaining cars looking to make a pit stop here. And Brian Katz overcooks it just a little bit, and that opens the door for Ice Tin to get up alongside him. Let's see if he can go the long way around the outside here. Very important to set up a good line down the straight, and it looks like he's going to be able to do it. Let's take a look up at Matt Byrne, getting ready to set up a pass here on Casey Bennett, who still has yet to serve a pit stop. Shu Chen moves up into second place, passing Carter Bennett in the pits. Matt Byrne getting pulled behind that Porsche. Gets a big slide going on there, but catches it before he goes off too wide. And does lose a little bit of time as a result. We'll see if he can get it back here quickly. Carter Bennett into the pits now. And Louis Benora making the pass there for the time being. Still has that mandatory pit stop. And now we are inside the 20-minute mark.
Yeah, it looks like Aiden is going for the late pit strategy. He would have fueled a fair amount to anticipate and to plan for that. It's not the sort of thing you can just decide. I mean, certainly you can fuel high and not use it all and pit earlier, but it's not too great if you don't want a super heavy car the whole race.
Melon Pitch here getting bullied a little bit by the GT3s, and that is Alex Ardoin cuts out in front of that Lamborghini. Ice Tin not going to be happy about that one. Looks like he gets through regardless.
Yeah, so important to note that Alex does lead that class now, and Nathaniel Stewart sits second with Anthony Jones making a recovery drive of sorts, having had a 30-second stop and go.
Jack Lindner into the pits. Did he get a penalty? I guess we'll find out shortly. Aiden Hasbrock still needs to serve a pit stop as Shu Chen sets new fastest lap of the session.
Yeah, that's impressive. He's bettering his own fastest laps there, so even as the race goes on, he's just getting quicker and quicker. It's to tell if there's... No, I think the rain's coming down pretty much as hard as it ever has been during this race.
Yep, it hasn't moved. It's been pinned on medium rain this entire time. Aiden Asbrock into the pits now. And that just leaves Casey Bennett, Eric Gottsacker, and Louis Benora. Ooh, and a yellow flag for Brian Katz. He may have just been off wide a little bit. Love the handsome Squidward livery. You'd love to see the...
Jack Lindner, get released from the pits at almost the same time. So they are trying to figure out who's going to get out first, and Aiden kind of bullies Jack into letting him pass.
I mean, that was probably for the best. They're not on the same lap, so...
Yeah. It's interesting how the cars overlap here, but it's a difficult thing having... I mean, even in real life, you know, cars crash into another in the pits. It's not an easy thing to manage, so... I'm sorry, Squidward.
Melon Pitch keeping pace with Alex Ardoin.
Yeah, Melon has definitely had the pace there, but obviously sits a lap, 2 laps down now, and potentially looking at unlapping himself.
Looks like he at least gets around Ardoin.
Oh, car's wiggling around, but
maybe an exercise in futility to try and recover positions, but at least he will be finishing the race and earning those points. The reason I say that is he did have, he was stopped for 3 minutes, which is a little over a lap and a half here. So he really does have a lot of work cut out to him if he's going to catch up to Liam in 15 minutes. Not saying it's impossible, but it will be a challenge to be sure. Still, 3 drivers have yet to serve their mandatory pit stops, according to my overlay and according to the game.
Yeah, those drivers definitely looking to go very late into the race. Possibly, you know, what you were saying, just to see if the weather's gonna change at all. But you know, even if they go right up until the 2.5 minute mark, at that point it's kind of, you're just fulfilling your mandatory and getting back out and having a fresh set of boots for the very end of the race, where, you know, you don't really have an opportunity to get them up to temperature. It's here, it's basically a lap and a bit, right?
Right. One thing to note, Anthony Jones is closing in on Nathaniel Stewart, slowly but surely. That gap was out at about 12 seconds the last time I looked, about 3 laps ago. He's got it down to 7.5 now. And looking at the lap times, he is lapping about 2 seconds a lap faster than Nathaniel Stewart. With maybe 5 laps left, that may be enough.
It is Sulu Benora bouncing around on the grass a little bit, and I really thought he was going for a spin there, but managed to keep it together. I mean, when you've been driving in the rain for 45 minutes already, and you've just got a little bit of the race to go, the fatigue starts to set in. I know, you know, an hour race isn't nearly as long as some of the endurance races, but just the knowledge that the race is coming to an end, it's easy to start to relax a little bit, but that track is still very, very wet.
Well, and another thing to remember is, yes, it's only an hour-long race, but I would argue that it being in the wet, I mean, it asks more of the drivers. I wouldn't be able to tell you how much more, but it definitely requires a lot more focus, just because the car is that much easier to get out from under you. It really, really is demanding a lot of the driver's focus just to be able to sit even through 1 hour.
Yeah, it usually takes about 7 more focus.
Yeah, about 7 more focus. Yeah, I like that.
We've got Julien making a nice around the outside M2 pass down the pitch.
Louis Benora is in the pits now to serve their mandatory pit stop, which just leaves Carter Bennett and Eric Gottsacker remaining to do so.
Yeah, was I imagining that? Were you talking about a Squidward livery before?
No, you were not. On the side of Brian Katz. Ooh, and the number 12 car gonna pick up, that's Louis Benora, picks up a stop go 30 for speeding in the pit lane as Brian Katz gets caught up by Aiden Hasselbrock. And if we see the other side of this Porsche, you'll see it here. Oh, that's too far out. Come on, show us the driver's side. Come on.
TV camera.
There it is.
Hey. Okay. You love to see it.
See Casey Bennett there getting around, I believe that's Liam McNeil, and is on his way into the pits for his mandatory pit stop.
Oh,
ooh, that was a little quick.
Every time I have to hold my breath just a bit.
Let's see how Eric does. That looked okay. That looked pretty good.
That was very sensible.
Oh, and Louis Benora is parked on the outside and tows it right back in. I think after that mistake and having to serve a stop go 30, he hangs up the steering wheel.
Yeah, it's a shame. It's tough. It's tough when you have a lot of things kind of going awry in a race. I didn't quite get over to him there, so I'm not sure if there was an accident that kind of capped it off.
See, those two still on the jacks.
And your prediction was indeed correct. Aiden Hasselbrook cycles back out to 4th place, which is not at all bad.
No, Casey Bennett gonna get out. Looks like he avoids the stop go 30. He does, so he must have barely got it in there.
And that's exactly what I was thinking about, was Jack approaching the back of Brian Katz now. Brian just holding it down the middle of the track, which is the right thing to do if you want to defend. Taking the inside line. Just trying to put his car in the right spots at the right time to not give Jack the potential to find an overlap, but Jack does go for a little go back and touches the rear end of Brian's door, and they do manage to keep it all together, but Jack had a moment there for sure.
Yeah, now he's going to have to work to catch back up to him, and they are on the same lap, so Brian Katz is entitled to fight for that position. And the only real difference, because Jack Lindner, if I remember correctly, he started in P10, has fallen back a position because he served 2 extra pit stops. With Brian Katz only serving 1, it just goes to show you they're reducing the amount of time you spend in pit lane. That equals positions.
Absolutely, and we've just got off the back of the 124-hour happening, and that's obviously a serious endurance rate. You really, you go for the long haul.
Oh, that's very close. Jack Lindner really not pulling any punches here. He wants to get in front of Brian Katz, and he is impatient. He is ready to be out in front of there, and I don't blame his impatience. Only 8 minutes left on the clock, which means at best 4 laps for these cars. Ooh, and Jack Lindner goes out wide. Brian Katz doing an excellent job of just staying in the middle of the track and defending. We'll see if he's... Ooh, that's a big run over to the inside, but is able to keep Jack Lindner on the defense, and there it is, the pass. A rough line for Brian Katz to try and defend from, and that is going to let Jack Lindner through. And it looks like as he's caught up to by, I believe that is Casey Bennett and Julian Levasseur.
Yeah, so those cars will be looking to get past pretty soon, because there'll be blue flags for Brian Katz. You can see him off to the side there. Looking left and right, and that was really unfortunate. That kind of kills the battle between the 2 Porsches.
Yeah.
Oh, Julian does come back close to Casey, but that was very tricky. We'd have to have a look again. Julian just trying to find a way through. Got tangled up with Brian there.
All right, here is that replay here. So let's see, Brian in the middle of the road, comes over, and yeah.
I think he thought Julian had maybe gone the other way, or just wasn't going to be overlapping, and he was taking the usual entry. It's that just a miscommunication essentially.
Yeah, he just didn't expect the Porsche to be right there, and tried to get out on the racing line, but there was another car there. It does happen.
Yeah, I mean, for Julian, he certainly has an opportunity, 2.73 seconds back. I'm not sure if that's sort of damaged the front end of the Porsche at all. Perhaps make some inroads on Casey Bennett ahead, but we're looking at 5 minutes remaining now.
Race leader Xu Chen has been there pretty much the entirety of this race, starting from P3, getting around Melon Pitch now. And really, I think unless he spins or disconnects, he's pretty much guaranteed to finish in first place here. Matt Byrne, 18 seconds back. Also having a great drive nonetheless. But we really see some space out here in the front couple of cars. Another 27 seconds back is Carter Bennett for third place. Behind him by 21.5 seconds is Aiden Hasbrock. Another 20 seconds back is Casey Bennett. And we're starting to get into the point where our front five aren't even on the same lap. Alex Ardoin doing a great job of staying out in front of the M2 pack. Nathaniel Stewart doing a great job of hanging on to second place, up 3 positions since the start of the race, and even fighting through some adversity, getting tagged by that GT3 car earlier in the second stint. He's still managed to hang on to second place, and Anthony Jones is slowly closing in on him. He's running out of time to do it with 3.8 seconds left in the race. He's really got to pick up the pace if he wants to finish in second place in front of Nathaniel. Cody Barrett in P4, 38 seconds back, followed by Liam McNeil and Millen Pitch.
The one thing that I do see happening on track is that Casey, yes, Bennett is, you can see closing up to the back of Jack Lindner, who is not on the same lap. But I mean, Jack definitely has the pace to run up with that front group. Might not be as fast. I know that a big reason he's back there.
Big update here. Nathaniel Stewart has gotten a drive-through penalty for track limits, right as Anthony Jones has caught up to the back of him. That could not have come at a worse time for Nathaniel Stewart as he goes way off the track. What on earth just happened?
He lose brakes or
He may have.
Yeah, go back because I don't know if it was almost like a reaction to the car on his inside.
And he's disconnected.
That is a shame. Okay, well, I mean, I guess that sorts that out, but it's a very it's a sad sight to see a car in the barrier like that.
I would be very curious to hear what happened there.
Absolutely. I was going to speculate that Casey Bennett catching up to the back of Jack Lindner might, you know, give Julian an opportunity to catch a little bit, given that the only reason Jack is there is because he had a stop-and-go penalty. Alexander Barnes with a drive-through now.
Oh, man.
So, they do come late in the race. He comes into serve it immediately. And guess who just took the fastest lap? It's Matt Byrne in second place. That's a real surprise because Shu was kind of had the edge on everyone throughout the race, and Matt was just a little bit off of the top three in qualifying. So I think he's been, you said he arrived late,
Yep.
and it could be that he's just been finding more and more lap time during the race. He didn't have an opportunity to practice a lot. So Alexander Barnes comes out of the pit lane now and does not get, that's, you know, the worst thing is coming into serve drive-through penalty and then getting a stop and go 30 because you're trying to get it done as quickly as possible, and you don't want to have drive-through because who does? So yeah, very good to see he was able to serve that and not have it go. I mean, 796. We're still not any closer. We've got to get these four cars in the right order. I'm kidding. No. So there are almost. I would speculate there are almost more drivers that have had a penalty than not in this race so far.
It certainly does seem to be that way. Looking at, I mean, just how many penalties cleared there have been since the race. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 penalties have been cleared this race.
Yeah.
All right, there we go. Leader is on the final lap. That means Shu Chen has crossed the start-finish line. And now he just has to finish this lap, and he should bring it home. Matt Byrne has gained about a second on him, but I don't think that is ultimately going to make too much of a difference. And I'm pretty sure we're looking at our finishing lineup here. Carter Bennett here in 3rd place, Aiden Hasselbrock in 4th, Casey Bennett in 5th, Julian Levasseur in 6th. Julian and Casey might still be dueling it out here. Anything could happen with one more lap to go. 3 seconds isn't insurmountable. Eric Gottsacker here catching up to the 402 car of Cody Bennett, sitting in P7. That's Justin Eistin in P8. Alexander Barnes in P9. Jack Lindner in P10. Brian Katz in P11. Then to the M2s, Alex Ardoin very likely to win this. Anthony Jones in P2. Cody Barrett in P3. Liam McNeil in P4. And Millen Pitch in P5.
I love how a dirty Melon Pitch's car looks around the bottom there, with the rain picking up all the muck onto his usual bright car, and huge head off track there. I mean, you know, just bring it home.
Might as well have a little fun.
Yeah.
He's only got, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 corners left of this race, and he is pretty much destined to win it at this point.
Yeah, we've barely seen Xu Chen other than when he was up front making his way past Aiden Hasselbrock earlier in the race, but that's sort of, I mean, he's not got any sponsors on the car, so they're not going to be upset.
Yeah. Well, he is one of the Shumi Skins cars, so I don't know why it's showing up as matte black, but we can see him there cross the finish line to win this race. 1 hour at Silverstone in the wet, and he won it with a pretty commanding lead. 17.5 seconds to the next car. Matt Byrne coming across the line now will bring home 2nd place. And there we can see just how far back the next car is. Carter Bennett now just getting onto the straight leading into the last 2 corners. Looks like 8th place Justin Eistin gonna be the next car to finish here. Rounding the final corner. Down a position on the day, but even still, he did that serving a stop-go 30. Will cross the line in 8th place. And there is the checkered flag for Ice Tin. Carter Bennett not far behind him, getting a bit of a slide on coming through. And there's the spin off into the run out. Ooh, and into the tire wall. Looks like Alexander Barnes brings it home for 9th place. Carter Bennett in 3rd. Aiden Hasselbrock crossing the line there in 4th place. Ooh, and Melon Pitch going for a spin into the pit wall. Scares the bejesus out of the marshals.
I think there's a few drivers who are pleased to have got to the end of this race.
Well, we started with 21. We're down to 16.
Yeah.
And there go the next 3 cars. Casey Bennett, Julian Levasseur, and Eric Gottsacker crossing the line. Anthony Jones wins it. Oh, and he's going to, oh my goodness, he is going to flip that M2 over. Woo! All right, 2nd time we've seen an M2 flip in this league so far.
Words out of my mouth, yeah. I would be disappointed if we didn't see a BMW on its lid.
Here we go. Last 2 cars to round the circuit. Gonna be Brian Katz and Cody Barrett to bring home the last couple of cars here. Actually, excuse me, it looks like Liam McNeil is just behind these 2, but Cody Barrett gonna cross the line there with a 3rd place finish in his class. Oh, and runs it right into the wall. But that is gonna do it. So again, just to cover off on the grid, Xu Chen gonna bring home the race win. Hold on 1 second, get a better look at this. Timetables race. So Xu Chen gonna be winning it in the GT3. Matt Byrne with fastest lap in P2. Cody Barrett, or excuse me, Casey Bennett in P3. followed by Aiden Hasselbrock, the other Bennett in P5, Julian Levasseur in P6, Eric Gottsacker in P7, Justin Eistin in P8, Alexander Barnes in P9, and Jack Lindner in P10, Brian Katz in P11 to close out the rest of the GT3s. Anthony Jones brings home the... wait, hold on. It changed on me. Pardon me, folks. Yep, Anthony Jones to bring home the win in the BMWs. Alex Ardoin in P2, Cody Barrett in P3, Liam McNeil.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's got him winning the race. That can't be right. That can't be right. Hold on. Race all. What happened here? Okay, hold on. Just so you guys
Unless there was a post-race penalty.
Yeah, unless there was a post-race penalty that wasn't served. But here we go. So, free practice, race, TCX. It's got Anthony Jones in first place.
Yeah.
Well, that'll need to be resumed by...
Alex Ardoin got a penalty very, very late on.
It could be. So that'll have to be reviewed by the officials. So keep your eyes out for what the official ruling on that is. But that is going to do it for tonight. That is 1 hour down at Silverstone in the wet. And I mean wet. There was no break in the rain today. Any closing thoughts, Tom?
Oh, I just love a good wet race. I know that Melon Pitch does as well, and it's good that we got one in the season. And next time out, where are we looking to?
We will be at... one of my favorite tracks in the entire game. I've done more endurance races there than I care to admit to, so I will certainly be looking forward to that. And then just as a teaser for anybody who will be around, the season finale will be at Spa. So definitely don't want to miss that. Make sure you hit that follow button if you haven't already. You'll get notified when we go live here at Apollo Racing Club. We've got racing every night of the week, everything from NASCAR trucks to ACF1. All sorts of craziness goes on here, so make sure and join the Discord if you want to get sim racing. We welcome anybody of any skill group is welcome to join, so go ahead and follow us in Discord. But that is going to do it for us tonight. My name is Matt McAdams. Joining me was Tom Castellani. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you next week at Kyalami. Have a good night, everybody.